Okay, so what's it like to be a good neighbor? I've lived here about 34 years. I've gotten to know pretty much everybody on our street and some of the other streets around here. Some through Patty, some through Chris, some through some of our other neighbors. For myself, actually, it's interesting. I was just retired around the first of this year, and it's surprising all of the things that need to be done, all of the things that neighbors need help with. I fix our neighbors' bicycles and do various things for people. And I'm busier now than when I was working. It's surprising, but it's fun. Keeps me busy, and it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I moved here in 1976. The community was very, very different, and I came from a part of San Francisco where you didn't get to know your neighbors very well, and that's how I was raised. It is now many, many years since I moved in, and what I learned from this community is that enmeshed communities that are resilient are communities where good neighbors occur naturally. It's not something that you think about, it's simply the way you live. And so everyone knows everyone well enough to understand when there's a need and to understand what's needed to fulfill that need, and it strengthens our entire community. So whether it's taking someone's dog to the park or helping with a ride to the doctor, or when Ken managed to fall on his bicycle once and was in the emergency room, neighbors came forward to drive me because I was so upset I couldn't drive myself. And I didn't have to worry. I was able to call a couple of neighbors, and I was there in that hospital till almost 2 in the morning. And when I looked up from an empty waiting room while he was having surgery, one of my neighbors had found me and brought me food. And I hadn't eaten since 10 in the morning at that point. That's what it means to live in a community of good neighbors.
I'm a good neighbor. I live in this neighborhood, and I take care of my neighbors. They take care of me. I help out with whatever they need, like clothesline. Also, I help them go out with them to take their medication to the doctors or pick up the medication. And other things I do, I drive them around. If they want to go out, just go outside, go out to enjoy the weather. I take them out, and basically that's what I do. I do the mural over here at the Yoga Park, the little mural there. I do a lot of volunteer things around the neighborhood. That's what keeps me going.
What does it mean to be a good neighbor? Well, I think it means to be there for your neighbors, to be supportive and caring, and be involved with your neighborhood and your community. And I think in the last 7 years since I've been retired, I've been able to give more to my community and my neighbors, to be there for your neighbors, to be supportive, to be involved in the neighborhood, in the community. And we've been in this neighborhood for 45 years, and this is my grandmother's house too. So my grandmother was here since 1936, and my grandfather, and my mother, and my aunt. So
there's a lot of history.
There's a lot of history
here.
We love this neighborhood.
Yeah.
We love our neighbors. We have a lot of good neighbors, and like I said, in the last 7 years, I've been able to get more involved in the community.
What does it mean to be a good neighbor? What does it feel like to be a good neighbor, or on the receiving end of a good neighbor?
If you want to be a good neighbor, you have to be one, I guess. And it isn't any one big thing. I think it's a lot of small things, like just waving to somebody or telling them to have a good day. It means a lot to me, and being locked up. And then I think about my neighbors. Everybody's got some problems that they're working out. And I don't know, like I said, just waving or saying, have a good day, kind of sets the tone for your day. It helps you out. So it's just a lot of little things. Like my good neighbor is Diane. We share a lot of things, and we don't agree on everything, but we manage to get along. And one of the reasons is our love for cats, and we're taking care of 3 feral cats now. She just brought me some food. So I don't know, it's just a lot of small things, and letting people know that you care about them. And it seems like when you do something for someone, it comes back. Your goodness or your kindness comes back to you.
Number one, you have to be friendly with the neighbors. It doesn't hurt to say hello, even if they're kind of, don't speak English or whatever. You can wave. If somebody by themselves, like my neighbor here, he had stage 4 cancer. I cooked for him for 7 years.
7 years?
From me. I didn't want anything from him. Went and checked on him. If he called, say, can we go to the store? I need this and that. I went down and got it. Never collected. It's okay.
Yeah.
Another lady that used to be living there, I shopped for her when I was working every single day next door. Just help them if they're alone and they need help. One of my neighbors was sick not long ago. They had a sore throat. I went out, bought some tea, and took her some tea, put it in her mailbox. Little things. It can add to a lot. And that's what a good neighbor is,
Yes.
Like all these neighbors now, all of them, even if they don't speak English, now they know, they wave. Because if they don't wave, I will wave.
So what's it mean to be a good neighbor?
To be accommodating, people, we're all getting older and we all need help. And, like I said, she asked me for help. She doesn't drive. And we're very good friends. We talk over the fence all the time, I've told her anytime she needs to go somewhere, I'd be more than happy to give her a ride. I know all her kids, all of that.
In the neighborhood, what's it mean to be a good neighbor? Like to people that don't even live on your block? Like,
there's a lady in the next block, and I know her husband, and she comes down here, and she has grown children that live back east somewhere, and she has a problem getting them up to the pharmacy up here for mailing, because they mail them for free not for free, but the wrapping and all that. And so I drive her up there. She comes down and asks me, and I do that for her.
and how about Marilyn?
Oh, Marilyn. Marilyn asked me to be her companion, and when she needed to go to the hospital in different places, and even going out to lunch, she asked me to come with her, and so I've done that too. If I'm around, I have nothing to do. I don't have a job, so.
So you like being a good neighbor?
I do. It makes me feel good. It gives me a thing like, oh, look what I did today, or something like that.
And also you participate in the walk and wave.
Yes, when I remember.
Right.
When I remember.
Which we visit neighbors and just say hello.
Hi, Maria. Maria's a friend of that family over there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to say about being a good neighbor? Why should anyone be a good neighbor?
Because it gives you a good feeling that comes all the way from down, in your toes and all that. It just makes me feel good to be able to do something good for somebody who can't, do it.
Hi, I'm Margaret Graff, and I've just been asked what is a good neighbor. A good neighbor is somebody who's there for you. I've been very, very lucky by having excellent neighbors on both sides of me here in San Francisco, and I cannot tell you the rough times I've been through, and they've been there, they've brought food over, They've driven me places. They've put their arms around me when things were bad and I was having a hard time. And I've run over and turned off people's gas stoves when they went away and left them on. I've picked up their packages for them and brought them in the house when I knew they were out of town. I've had their kids over so that they could just have a little bit of peace in the afternoon for a couple hours when it was a bad rainy day. We've gone back and forth to parties, and in my area, we did something very unusual in that my neighbor directly south of me and the house just south of them, we took out the fence between our yards when each of these two couples on separate dates got married. So they had their wedding celebrations in 3 yards, 3 adjoining yards. And that's probably something most people cannot say when they're talking about a good neighbor. But my yard became the place for the photographs. The yard next to me became the place for the ceremony, and the one furthest over became where we set up the tables and the bar and the music. So it became one large lawn celebration for each of their weddings. Now the sad thing is they're both divorced. but we had a very good time.
What's it mean to be a good neighbor?
A good neighbor is someone who, if you have an emergency, you can call on to help you. To me, and I don't like a good neighbor that's always in your business. I don't like that at all. But I do like a good neighbor. To me, it's one you can rely on, like Joy. If anything goes wrong, I know I can call Joy. That helps a lot because I know she'll be there. And Frank. Now, if I go out of town, Frank watches my house, picks up my things, put my garbage out. He's that type of person. He's a great neighbor. There was all these fire engines out here. They said, you called? I know I didn't call. She said, and the firewoman said, well, the neighbor next door called, and we can't get in because she doesn't answer. She says, well, can we go through your back? Because they were going to use the axe and break into her garage. And I said, well, no, what, can't you do something else? And they said, well, can I go through your backyard and go over the fence? I says, no, you can, but you can't get over that fence. This lady said, the firewoman says to me, watch me. So she jumps over this 6-foot fence. And she goes to Marie's back door. Luckily, we live here, so you don't have to lock your back door all the time. I don't tell everybody that. But her back door was open. Marie had gone in the kitchen. Marie is 80, she's now 87. Hit her head on the stove, knocked herself out. She apparently came to, and she got to her bedroom, blood everywhere, passed out again. So, because Joy has my phone number, I have Joy's phone number. I called Joy on her cell. Of all the things, Joy was on, it was a spring break. She was in New York. So I said, what do you want me to do, Joy? She says, well, tell them to take her to Mount Zion. Is that Mount? No, St. Luke's over there on Mission. So I did. I had to do all that. So I did all that for her. Because she's a nice lady, you know, that kind of stuff. But that's the kind of thing they would do for me.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I watched their house and all that kind of stuff.
That's really important.
It's nice.
It seems like a real happy neighborhood.
And since I'm alone, I travel a lot, so Joy knows if she doesn't see me for a few days, she's like, yeah, where are you? Oh, I'm fine. Or she'll call.
Oh,
you know,
that's
that
really
kind of thing.
nice.
Oh, dependable, reliable, and you can count on them.
See, a good neighbor is the 2 young men that live next to me. They're always taking care, always bring me a little food because I can't get out anymore. And other neighbors to the left of me are taking my phone number down, and anything I need, anything you want, just call us. We're there for you. And that's wonderful. We have never been this close. I don't know about this virus, but it seems to be making me a little bit happy because I know people love me and they're around me. I try to be a good neighbor. There's not much I can do because, of course, I'm in the house all the time, stuck. But what I can do and did do with another friend of mine is collect bags and brought them up to a food bank, and they supplied about 40 people that day with the bags that we collected with food. So I'm trying to be a good neighbor.
I want to ask you first, what does it mean to be a good neighbor?
To be involved in the community, take care of each other. We've been here since 1977, and we know a huge number of families. And about 3 years ago, I realized I knew a girlfriend over this way and a girlfriend that way, like this whole collection of ladies that didn't know each other. So I started these tea parties like once a month, and I would have like 12 or 14 women, and they got to know each other. I was like, why did we do this sooner? So that was nice, pulling everybody together. They really enjoyed it. And then we found out most of us were artists, so that was like a double. Yeah.
That really changed their life.
Yeah, I
In a
think
way.
so. I think so.
Yeah. What are some practical reasons to have a good neighbor?
Well, for safety.
Safety, security, you help each other out. You know, if they have a problem or something needs to be fixed, if you can do it, you go over and do it for them.
Do you have any examples of that?
Well, Terry, but she's not a neighbor here.
Doesn't matter.
Pam, her cabinet doors didn't work right, and she had just moved in, bought the house.
Jim's a carpenter, so he's done a lot of repairs.
I bet it gets a lot of
Pro
calls.
bono, you know.
A lot of little stuff. Well, no, because I retired. That was it. I was tired, I retired.
Good plan.
Occasionally there's an accident of some sort, like my neighbor fell and broke her arm on the side right in front of me. And as soon as I was able to, or she was able to get herself up, I got her in the car and took her to the hospital. So, I mean, it's automatic. You just do these things.
And then when something like this happens, it just amplifies how important it is.
Oh, to know somebody in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's,
I often give out my phone number to people, somebody walking their dog down the street, and we start to chat, and they might say they live alone. And I'll say, well, if you have an emergency,